What's going on, everyone? Franco here from Frank Analysis. The November presidential election is just a few weeks away. We are stuck with two major candidates that are representing the US oligarchy. When people who are sick of the two-party system and still want to vote, what they usually do is they vote for a third-party candidate. One of those third-party candidates is Howie Hawkins, who got nominated despite strong allegations of election rigging. Joining me today is someone who will break down what happened in the 2020 Green Party primary, presidential candidate Chad Wilson. Thank you very much for being here, Chad Wilson. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you following what's going on.
Yep. So how did you get started with the Green Party? And did you see anything wrong initially when you first joined them? Like anything wrong with the way that it was operating when you first joined?
Well, I voted for Joel Stein in 2016. So after Bernie Bethany and at the convention, I had to go somewhere, and I voted Joel Stein. So it wasn't until about 2018 that I got engaged with the party, and it wasn't necessarily in Tennessee, where I'm from. It was with people, across the country, because we were doing these online Zoom shows. Just open mic kind of thing, talking, discussing politics. And that's when Green from Arizona had brought to the table about Ventura talking about running, come 2020. And so he brought it to the table, and then another Green from California joined in, and we started doing these discussions about, what the Green Party need to do, a lot of things, like to sharpen up the image, the branding, the opening up a place for people to really feel comfortable and, take it into, the new digital era technology and focus on that, clear up the image of it. And so as we were dealing with that, we're putting it together. We were trying to get other Greens engaged. And then that's where we actually ran into Andrea, which is Hawkins' campaign manager. So a lot of these things stem from 2018 in the summer, when we were doing this, trying to draft Jesse Ventura back then. And one of the things that you can see, there's like a screenshot of her discussing with our now ballot access coordinator. He said about loading up the PCSC. Basically, she shared this letter that James had put out about trying to get Greens excited. And she said, I'll do whatever I can to block it. Better get some rational people on it. And then you see the Brendan Hobbs Phillips guy asking, how, what the process was for it. I wish William would have got more of the conversation, but she's since deleted it, the actual post. So that's kind of where all these things stem from. And then to come to find out, just fast forward, Andreas is kind of like the center of all these different things. So the biggest issue this whole season really came with the PCSC, the Presidential Campaign Support Committee, which that was something that was that was what they were discussing, the committee loading up in that initial screenshot. So I mean, I guess that's what got me in, because I didn't see Jesse going to run, and I didn't see anything that I necessarily liked. So I wanted to help bring something to the table, because I feel like, having the resources and using technology, really doing something to make it go viral, because people are looking for something. You just have to have the right content and organize it and get people engaged in a creative way. You need art in order to make these things in this new society, this digital society.
Yeah.
So that's I decided to go ahead and get in, and I just fell into all the shit that's been going on.
Yeah. So you and Dario Hunter and Ian Schlakman and some of the other candidates that wanted to run for president, you guys had to go through more obstacles than Howie Hawkins. And Ian Schlakman described on an interview that he had with Steve from Slow News Day how he saw that it was complete bullshit and he decided to not run in the end. So what were these obstacles? And why didn't Howie Hawkins have to go through as many of them as you and the other candidates had to go through?
Well, this was Chris Blankenhorn, which is does something with the Young Eco-Socialists. I think he's out of the Illinois Party. He said in this opening thing that a group of Greens got together and organized a campaign for 2020. They had a plan, but they didn't have a candidate. And these people that this group is this Green Party Power Group or something like that. There's a website, and I could find it. You kind of see what they've been trying to do. They've basically ran Hawkins's campaign from their official positions. Andrea being the campaign manager, state co-chair, she was on the steering committee, and one of the things is that she, was lobbying to change certain rules. Kevin Zeese, he was the one that actually was sharing things out with the media, things promoting Hawkins, and through the our official channels, website, and now our media, the media committee guy, it's a communications director, Michael O'Neill. Mm-hmm. He was actually paid this campaign season to do work for Hawkins. And then there's been no promotion of the primary. The things that they do promote are outside organizations and outside candidates that are not actually running green. Even like Lisa Savage, she's not actually running green. She's running independent. She may and has the Green Party endorsement. But see, the way that they're doing it is using the party to qualify and legitimize their events. And that was one of the things that they did in September, this eco-socialism event where these co-chairs, national co-chairs, they went and promoted it for the Green Party. When they were asked if all the presidential candidates were going to be there, Anita Rios from Ohio, state co-chair, said, well, this is not an official thing per se. So basically what they're doing is using the resources of the party to promote one candidate. Mm-hmm. I came in later. I didn't get in till September. And what they ran into some more issues before because they were promoting some things with Hawkins. They weren't allowing people to speak then at conventions. Andrea, I think, got paid twice, one for the campaign manager and as a state co-chair to go, and just some unfair advantages. Right. The biggest thing is to understand, the biggest part is the Presidential Campaign Support Committee that was ran by John Andrews. So what this does is supposed to handle, the presidential part and connect with the states in order to give candidates resources and be able to, organize. There's like 30 people or something like that on it. Well, what they do is they give out an official recognition status, and this official recognition status isn't needed in order to get delegates. You just have to be able to be put on the ballot, in different states, do different things. But the whole point is that this official recognition thing was used as a way to keep candidates off the ballot. So they basically said, okay, if you don't have your official recognition, if you don't have 100 signatures or whatever from a bunch of Greens, raise this much of money and some other stuff. But the other main one is that you can't be a member of another political party, mm-hmm. and which Hawkins is. So that's where them giving Hawkins the official recognition when he shouldn't have had it, and then him being allowed to be on state ballots that kept others went off because they didn't have it. It's clear, election rigging. It's the ballot rigging.
Yeah, so it looks like from what you're telling me and from what you've said in past interviews and what other candidates have said in past interviews that Howie Hawkins was the chosen one. And this is a big turnoff for a lot of progressives who are on the Democratic side, who were disgusted by this when the DNC had chosen Hillary Clinton ahead of time, and they rigged the primaries against Bernie Sanders. So was any of this present in the 2016 primary? I know you said you weren't there, but from what you heard from other members who were there behind the scenes, what could you tell us?
I know that Sednam said there was some funny things going on. Okay, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that there was some manipulation. Here what they do is they use an excuse, right? Is that we're a small party or that we're mm-hmm. decentralized. But all it takes is a handful of people or so many people in order to be on these committees in order to, prevent any real change. I mean, there was an ethics committee that was shut down. You know, I mean, how can you vote no for an ethics committee? So one of the things that Jill Stein actually this season, when Massachusetts was deciding which candidates to put on their ballot, Jill Stein went around and called up different people that were going to be voting and campaigned to keep some candidates off the ballot. Mm-hmm. Jill Stein, her big thing is, ballot issues, ranked choice voting. She wants people to have a choice, but then she's going to go around and actually campaign, go out of her way to do that. And this can be corroborated by David Roll, which he's in the Massachusetts Party, and it's something that they've talked about openly. So so there's the big thing, right? Is the biggest hurdles for the Green Party is ballot access, right, and access to the debates. The two main things. So what they really did was prevent any kind of debates, prevent really any kind of promotion, any kind of ballot access for all the candidates in order to manipulate, again, for Hawkins. I mean, there was only 5,000 people that voted for Hawkins out of, what they say, 250,000. He barely got 1,000 outside of California. And then his home state that he's been running for governor, he'd been running for all these different things, that he barely pulled in 140, less than 140. So when you say selected, the way it works, it's the hustle. So Hawkins, they select him because they know he's going to lose, but he's going to fundraise. It's all about raising the money and being able to direct it to wherever you want to. And the national party of the Green Party is the face of the party because we're a federation. So controlling, being the nominee of basically is the face of the national party. So this is how they do it. So Michael O'Neill's been running this thing on Jill Stein's page called the Green Way Forward with David Cobb. David Cobb was Jill Stein's campaign manager. Well, the Jill Stein for President committee raised $150,000 in 2019, even though she's not running. She's got 600,000 likes, subscribers on Facebook, but what they've been doing is hosting these green things unofficial, but they've been sharing it again on the major platform, and that makes it create this narrative as if these are the official things, even if they say it's all about advertising and the way that promotion, and I mean they've been using it for their own purposes, basically. So they're growing outside organizations, they're funding outside organizations, and nothing really is getting taken care of to really get people together.
So why Howie Hawkins? Is it because he was like a co-founder of the Green Party? I mean, this guy has absolutely no charisma. Like when you hear him talk, he does not inspire people, and in some of these interviews, even you can see him with his tie, it's not like he doesn't have it on right. This guy is he's like a walking disaster. So why did they choose him?
Well, see that's kind of it's one of those things. I think it's on purpose. I really do. I really think that a lot of these things are here to really keep the party from growing. I mean, I don't know if they were trying to really just mirror the Bernie Sanders thing, kind of the socialist thing, and that's where part of the party's really upset is because the party's platform says it rejects the traditional socialism and the traditional capitalism thing. So it's basically for a different. So what they've done with this working with the socialist thing has created a lot more rift, and it's a smaller group of people that are again in these positions. So I think that you were trying to do that and use that to appeal to the Democrats, the Democratic Socialist crowd, that kind of thing. I mean, I guess that's off the top, but then if even off the top, you can't think that this guy is going to win or going to really do anything. And then so as we see what's going on, I think it's on purpose. They just want to do enough. Their target base is, older, middle class, white people, and they raise money just being like, oh, we're not the Democrats. And I think, but see, the thing is, Hawkins he's not really the co-founder. So he was invited on behalf of the Clamshell Alliance to the original meeting that they had. And the Green Party started in, I believe, in Germany with Patrick Kelly. So they had this organization thing, and then there was like these little factions and stuff. And then they started up the GPUSA. So the GPUSA was basically something that Howie was more involved in. Well, that ended up fizzling out because Howie didn't want to. He was actually not invited to the organization of the GPUS, which is a different thing, because he didn't want to run presidents, or there was something in there. So like the GPUS is again something different. So because they've always been merging and doing something else. So that's what's been around since then. The GPUSA just fizzled out just a few years ago. So it's like different. So now they've been, trying to create this narrative, always the co-founder. If anything, he's original member of the original faction, the first so it's like it's misleading, if not really a lie.
Right. So can you tell us a little bit more about the letter that you and the other candidates and Green Party members wrote and signed complaining about the rigging that occurred?
Well, one of the things off of that's important to point out, again, it goes back to the PCSC, is that they sent a letter out threatening to take candidates off the website. And again, it just proves that they were trying to hide the primary in order to keep only a certain amount of candidates, control the narrative. So again, all these things keep leading back to this is what we're trying to do. And the thing with Dario, I have a little bit of issue with Dario. He's still yet to acknowledge that he was silent. So he was protesting about the exclusion of him not being invited and stuff like that prior to him getting the official recognition. And that was in the summer. But once September came around, and I met him in September because I went to the Black Caucus debate in Indiana. He was pretty much silent about what was going on. He even did this like campaign stop with Hawkins, and in the Idaho debate. He was actually praising Hawkins and calling other people that were speaking on these different things divisive and trying to say we got to do positive, basically dismissing and gaslighting people. So all this throughout this whole time, as they were keeping candidates off the ballot, and as we're going through dealing with this stuff, and Ian actually left, or he was silent. Like Dario was silent, and you could see in an interview that William did on the Independence Media Network, when he interviewed Ron Pacone had reached out to Dario, and Dario didn't respond. Jimmy Dore chose not to cover him at all, or because they were pissed off because that they ignored his request, ignored Jimmy Dore's request. And then even Primo Nutmeg, I know that Primo Nutmeg reached out to him, and he ignored that request. So it's like, you're trying to run for the nomination, you run for president, and you got some of the biggest progressive voices reaching out, and you don't have time for that. So it wasn't until the end of March when Nico House interviewed him that Dario actually started talking about the corruption, when he was basically saw he was going to lose. And we called him out at the debate. He actually said pass. And in the end of February, when Ohio, they didn't put me on the ballot, so I had to get a write-in. So, I mean, think about that. A party that's not even on the ballot in Ohio anymore, they got kicked off. They don't want to put all the candidates on the debate stage or on their ballot. So there was this big old ruckus, and they didn't want me to be there, and they didn't want Susan to be there. Well, anyways, we went through this whole thing, and Sednam called him out, and I called him out. And after it got to them, Hawkins said it was for the, he'll leave it up to the states to make their decision. Basically, playing politics. Which again, he's selected, so he's like the half. Like he's not there to really lead. He's there to raise the money to be like almost guy, And then Dario said pass. Like he didn't even respond. So that was my big issue with him, is like, if you would have been calling this shit out before, then it would have given a lot more validity, and you wouldn't have been gaslighting all these other candidates, because everybody else had been signing stuff, and he just completely went silent about it. So, that's.
So I'm trying to see if there's a connection here with his rejection of going on the Jimmy Dore show, and Ron Placone. Like, Dario also refused to go on Primo Nutmeg, right? But he went on Nico House's Mi Casa Su Casa show early on when he was running. He also went on some smaller channels that I'm aware of. He went on my friend Dave Sparia's show. At the time, the name of his channel was the Radical Independent. So I'm curious as to why he didn't want to go on Jimmy Dore's show or on Ron Placone. I don't think he went on Graham Elwood's show either. Is it because he thought that they were going to ask him tough questions about Howie Hawkins and how like there's like rigging going on? Like, what do you think was the reasoning for why he didn't want to go on?
Well, I mean, see, I don't know if he was. So that's the thing. It's like, are you trying to play it safe? Like, because there was a perfect opportunity to lead, to say, okay, here's these things that's going on. Let's fix it. Let's create the right vibe, the right energy. But it looked like, he was more of a political coward for like, okay, well, I'm gonna use this to my advantage to keep other candidates off, so I can, still try to win, because the whole time, Dario had some steam, and he was building steam, and people liked him. But it was like when push came to shove, he started really, really showing out, like breaking down. Like he gets really triggered over Jesse Ventura. He's real salty about that. They didn't understand, and the value of even discussing, a possible Ventura, nomination.
Was this sorry to interrupt, but was this was him not going on Jimmy Dore? Was this after Jimmy Dore was on Primo Nutmeg, criticizing Howie Hawkins? Because I remember Jimmy Dore went on Primo Nutmeg. After.
Yeah,
okay.
Right. Well, he did go on Ron Bacone. So he didn't go on Ron Bacone until I went on Ron Bacone. Because I went on there and started talking about it. And then you can even go see in the comments where people were saying, get Dario on. He's like, and you see Ron in there, I've reached out. And, so that's when he first went on Ron Bacone. And then, of course, that's when, after that, I believe Hawkins went and stuff like that. But I don't think he talked about the corruption there. It wasn't really, I know he said he kind of said a little bit that Nico interview, but that was, I'm pretty sure that was the first time he really went in on it. I mean, he's spoken a little bit about him being kept off the ballot in North Carolina, but barely. I don't know why you would play it safe in a time where, election integrity is the most important thing. Like, you have to give people the opportunity to get excited. A lot of people thought Hawkins was going to win. Hawkins had a great opportunity to bring some energy in a way of opening the door for other people to run, and trying to but that's not him. Like, that's the whole thing, is like it's all a facade. It's fundraising, in my opinion. That's what I think it is. I mean, David Schwab is paid for by Hawkins' campaign. He's paid on the Jill Stein for president, thousands of dollars in 2019 for Jill Stein for president, and he's on the Lisa Savage. Lisa Savage didn't even get her endorsement of the Green Party till like the spring. It was like April or May, and they had been promoting her since like October or November. Because at first she was running as a Green, but then she couldn't get 2,000 signatures when there's like 40-something thousand, Greens in Maine. But then she switched to Independent, and then on the day that they went to the Super Tuesday, whatever it was, They got like 9,000 signatures. So to me, it's like, it's a little fishy. Like, you obviously seem like you're getting some buzz and getting some energy. So why wouldn't you sign people up to the Green Party? I mean, especially if they're already done voting for, for Sanders, it's a perfect time to sign people. You do both.
Yeah, and it's a real shame that this is right after in 2016 when Jill Stein was breaking records for the Green Party. And now we see that Howie Hawkins is polling at 0%. I think a big part of that is because of, not only because of his lack of charisma, but his comments on Primo Nutmeg really did damage to him, because we expect more from the Green Party. Like, we expect them to be more for progressive values, and his comments on Julian Assange and on Russiagate really turned a lot of people off. So I personally think that the Green Party is dead, seeing as how Howie is polling at 0% nationally. He's polling less than what Jill Stein did in 2016. It was small and not viable already to begin with, but Howie and others who rigged the primaries for him have accelerated its death. So what do you think will happen to the Green Party after 2020?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are in works right now. People are obviously fed up, and again, it's a federation, so it's individual state parties that all sign on to the national party. So that's the GPUS. So there's all these things that are wrong with it, obviously need to be fixed and handled, or what it's looking like is there may be a new national party forming, and then you just get the states to join on. Alaska chose not to put Hawkins on the ballot there. They put Jesse Ventura on the ballot there. So that the idea is that's the decentralized idea, right? Even though we're supposed to be organized as a whole, there's a lot more states and a lot more people that are tired of dealing with the people on national, because they've again, yeah, you're right. They've accelerated by putting all their people on there, and they've pushed people out, the good people, and it's just gotten so many of them that you can't keep quiet about it. It's not like one or two people, where they've been shaming them and talking down. Like, it's like Andrea, like, she destroyed the Colorado Green Party basically, and she gets rewarded with these things. So that's what bothers me. It's like, okay, well, these people, their moral compass is off anyways. Like, how can you say you're for something and or against something and then just allow that? You're rewarding behavior just because it's your team. So I think that the Green Party really needs to be more, neutral in a way. People get caught up in these isms. They get caught up in team politics. They get caught up in identifying to something. And that's not to say that obviously we shouldn't be and understand cultures and individual things, but it's when it comes to like your red team versus blue team, Democrat versus it's like, oh, you're this, you're that, rather than identifying the behavior. Because it's like Obama, right? You see the liberal left is like still praising, and they don't realize that Obama and Clinton's and all these things that came before is what's created this where we're at in order to get Trump. There's the Trump derangement syndrome is so bad that they can't distinguish. And I mean that's the problem. It goes back into like we were saying about the independent media on the left kind of thing, the progressive, is that they don't want to touch it. Graham Elwood says it sounds like the party's all inside bickering, which I get offended with. That shit pisses me off when you say you're inside of bickering. That's like telling people, like, if you're trying to hold the Democratic Party accountable, is that you're saying, oh, you're just bickering. It's the same principle. Like
the DNC rigging against Bernie Sanders is just bickering.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the same. That's the same. And that's what pisses me off. It's like, if you really want a third party to thrive, or the Green Party to grow, follow them, engage with them, hold them accountable. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Talk about it. Like, if it's a shit show, yeah, it's a shit show, because you're not putting any attention on it for people to be better. You know, and that's like what I've been trying to do is rah and use a little bit of a shock value in order to wake people up. Because it's like people want something that they're comfortable, even the mundane and real, are boring. That's like a lot of people are sucked into that Hawkins thing. Like, they're really just bad as, it's just a smaller group of people, but it blows my mind.
So lastly, I want to get to a Patreon question. This is from Ashley. Shout out to you. What are your thoughts on the Green Party of Alaska rejecting the national nomination of Howie Hawkins in favor of a Ventura McKinney ticket instead?
I think it's awesome, and I think the idea is to disrupt disrupt these people. So there's enough states that you can do write-ins where if Ventura wins without him even running, that it can disrupt the Electoral College, and that's just one of the things about putting pressure. But as far as Alaska doing that, I think it shows maturity, and I think they understand what needs to happen. We can't go. We got to go hard, and give people something to be excited about, something that they know, something that they can really see breaking through, the wall of of the media. And Ventura can do that. Even if you don't win, that's your biggest thing, is to actually influence and have people listening. And I think it's been a huge boost to the Draft Jesse people, the energy. So, I expect the Green Party to follow the values. And if you reward corruption, you're condoning it. And if you ignore it, you're condoning it. They didn't even allow Alaska to participate in the convention, the nomination convention. So it's not like, they even were able to give their delegates. Just, and then there's a lot of things. So I don't blame them. I think there's some other states that are talking about their options to do that too. So.
All right, Chad Wilson, I appreciate the time you took to come on here. Where can people find you?
Right now, you can get me at the Chad Wilson 2020 on Facebook or Twitter. That's the kind of where I'm parking right now. But I'm actually getting ready to release some political music, so
awesome.
Trying to shock the system some more. So I'm excited to get that. And so you guys will be hearing from me in the next few weeks. For sure.
Political music is great. It's fantastic. Chad Wilson, again, I appreciate your time coming on here. And to everybody else, stay informed.